In this painting, I will be creating a winter pine forest landscape. To create the painting, I am working on a watercolor paper, and then I am using, I'm going to start with a little bit of pencil and an eraser to make any mistakes. I just want to lightly kind of sketch out where the trees go. And then to paint, I have my palette with some Reeves watercolor paints. I have water, paper towel, and some brushes. I'm going to start in pencil first. So I'm going to draw a little bit of a horizon line to separate the ground from the sky. And then I'm going to draw very lightly a triangle shape. Some triangles kind of coming off, kind of a triangle squiggly line coming down from the sides. I'm not trying to make this super realistic. I just kind of want to get an impression of a pine tree. And the sides are these little kind of triangles that come out. There's smaller triangles on top, and they get bigger as they come down towards the base of the tree. Maybe I'm going to kind of indicate with a few triangles kind of back behind here, some trees a little bit off in the distance. A couple closer pine trees, and then I'll have 2 or 3 smaller ones that are going to be a little bit lighter in value and farther away. Okay, I'm keeping this real light because I don't want that pencil to show up when I paint. All right, after I kind of get a rough sketch in, and then I'm going to start to paint. And I'm going to take water, add it to my paints to kind of get them ready to go. And I'm starting with kind of this bright blue on here. This is a phthalo blue towards the horizon line. And then I'm going with some purple. And then I want this all to be wet into wet. So I'm mixing that blue and that purple wet into wet across the sky. A few places I'm going to get a little more phthalo blue and then a little more purple. And I might even add a little bit of the red, a darker red into the mix too. All right, I'm going to indicate just a little bit of a blue down into the snow, making this a winter scene, a little bit of shadow coming off there. I'm going to dry everything with my hair dryer to get it dried super quick. And I'm adding a second layer on top of my paints and blending them, wet into wet here, and blending those colors. So it's just a smooth transition from color to color throughout the sky. Okay, indicate that snow a little bit more. And then I'm going to start with the lightest green I have, and maybe a little bit of phthalo blue in there to kind of indicate those trees that are far away. So it's kind of like an emerald green and a phthalo blue, and I just want to lightly kind of paint those background trees. And I did not dry my sky here. I want those to blend in a little bit for now. You know, if your sky is too wet, you might have to dry it somewhat. But I want those distant trees to blend in. I want it to be just really soft in the background. And to create that softness of distance, you have to do it with wet into wet with watercolor paint. So they just kind of blend into each other. And again, you're not going to have this super detailed pine trees far away. You're just going to kind of see an indication of shape and color there. As always in watercolor paint, you want to start with your lightest colors and then work towards your darkest colors. So I'm indicating those light green pine trees in the background. And then when I have that fairly set, then I want to maybe just kind of start with a base color for my forward trees. So I'm going to do like a little ultramarine blue and then like a sap green or some kind of a dark green to just kind of get those, you know, basic tone onto my pine trees. Now in these videos, I'm trying to create this, you know, to where somebody else could create this painting. Now if I was doing it for real, I'd probably be taking my time more, even though this is sped up fast. And in real life, I'd probably take my time more and slow down in some of this painting process. But I'm doing a time-lapse video here so you can get the idea of how you want to do it, and then you can alter it a little bit to be however you'd like your painting to be. Okay, I want to dry off this layer here of pine trees and sky, make everything is completely dry before I go on to the next step. Okay, now that everything's dry, I'm going to come back and I'm going to indicate another layer of that lighter green, like a sap green, I think it is, and then actually that's an emerald green and a little bit of phthalo blue. So I'm going to it's kind of an intense color, but it's a light enough value that it's just going to kind of indicate those pine trees farther away. Okay, so I'm kind of working on some of those edges a little bit better, defining those, building it up. And you're not going to see every needle, you're just kind of want to have an indication of those trees back there. Starting at the top, it's skinnier on the top and gets bigger and wider towards the base. All right, then I'm going to go with my darker green, so a little more ultramarine blue with that earthy kind of green, like a sap green is really good for this. Okay, so here I'm going to indicate a little more of the actual branches. So I'm not just painting it all this color. You can see the motion I'm making is almost across, and I'm leaving a few little gaps of that lighter green that base layer show through. By doing this, it'll make it look a little more like the branches on the pine tree. Okay, so it's kind of a broken horizontal lines that you're kind of indicating across it. So starting here at the top again, there's not so much brokenness up there, but as you get down to the middle and bottom of the tree, I'm creating more of a haphazard horizontal brush stroke. Horizontal meaning across. So it's kind of going from left to right, and I'm just haphazardly making some shapes in there, leaving a few gaps here and there to show that little bit lighter green show through on there, and that'll make it look like a real pine tree. Okay, just kind of indicating those branches all the way across it, and then it's looking pretty good. I'm liking the way that looks right now. Okay, maybe a little more dark in there, so even with a little bit of black into that green mixture will help a lot to get maybe just a few dark indications of pine tree on there. Okay, I'm going to dry off my pine trees before I come back with this last little bit of black. There's a little bit of black into my green mixture to just get a little more darkness to that forward. So when you create atmosphere in a painting, you know, things get lighter when they're farther away and darker as they're forward. So again, I'm going to dry this all off, and then the last step is to take a little bit of white acrylic and just put a little bit of water on your brush. You don't want a lot, just enough to get it so it'll come off there. And then you're tapping your brush onto your opposite finger, and then it's going to be like snowflakes falling down. Okay, so I'm loading up that brush, tap, 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 get that white to fall across the sky, maybe even into your pine trees a little bit. And there is my finished winter pine forest. Hey, thanks for joining us on Kid Art Nation. If you enjoyed our videos, it would mean a lot if you'd like the videos and subscribe to our channel. Remember, you are important, you are amazing, you are an artist.